All right, welcome back to another Fluency Friday. I'm super excited to be a part of this class with you guys today. I have none other than my amazing fluency students that have come to join me today. We have Andrea out
Hi.
there in South Carolina. We have Ashley out there in Delaware. Super excited that you guys came to join me. We're going to just chat a little bit today about fluency. And what does that mean to be a part of a fluency community? What does that mean to be speaking Spanish and Spanish being normal in your world? Right. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. We had an amazing Fluency U VIP community last night. Wasn't that great, ladies?
Oh, sí, Monica, bonita.
Qué bueno, qué bueno. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And I want to make sure that our fluency community on Facebook is a part of this as well. So let's talk a little bit about speaking Spanish. Now, some of you, this may be your first time seeing me, hearing me on social media, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook. Maybe if you're listening to the podcast right now and you're like, wow, I've always wanted to learn Spanish, but every time I speak it, I freeze. Or if people are just speaking way too fast to where I can't even catch up. This masterclass is for you. Okay. I want you to take a listen to what I'm going to share with you guys today. I want you to listen to some testimonials to let you know that you're not alone. There's so many people want to learn Spanish, but they just don't have the right vehicle to get them to their fluency destination. So you're going to be able to hear from them a little bit later on. Go ahead and put in the comment section right now why you want to learn Spanish. Okay. Is it for work? Is it for travel? Is it for just speaking to your family and friends? What does that look like for you? Because I know that every single one of you guys have an opportunity to finally speak Spanish with confidence and not look at yourself as incapable of doing so. And you know why I know that you can speak Spanish? Because you speak English. You are fluent in English. So that shows me just a little bit. Okay. I've been learning about government contracting and things, and they talk about past performance. Like, what are the things that you've done in the past, right? To say, hey, you're qualified to be able to sell to the government, right? And I'm just going to tell you guys, you have past performance. That means that you speak English very well. So that means that you could also speak Spanish very well. Okay. So I'm Profesora Kris, your linguist coach, and I am the CEO and founder of Speak Spanish Easy. Speaking Spanish? See, that's my superpower that God has given me to be able to teach this language in a way that is place of safety for people to finally speak it, not just study the language, not just dissect it in a grammar level or linguistic level, but really finally start seeing that they have the ability to bridge the language gap between them and another person. And so that's what I love to do. I love the passion that I have. I've also been featured on Telemundo as being one of the top Afro Latinas in the nation right now that is teaching this language in an easy way without grammar rules, without verb conjugations. And that's one of the things that I take pride in is that people are seeing that there's a new way and there's a different way. And maybe you've been on a language app for years and you're still not fluent. Or maybe you tried Rosetta Stone, or maybe you've even taken some high school classes or college classes and you thought, maybe I'm just not good at languages. But I want to just give you a little bit of hope to let you know that you're not the problem. It's the learning and teaching system that has been the problem for decades. And my goal is to wake you up to let you know that you are capable. You have the confidence that needs to be unlocked through just learning simple phrases in Spanish and then start speaking those phrases in real life to real people. So let's get started, you guys, with my lecture because you know I'm all about the PowerPoint. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive straight into what we're going to talk about today, which is about communicating. Okay. Communicating with confidence. One of the things that I found with majority of my students that I get the privilege to be able to teach is they've got that foundation. When I tell you foundation, they've got a few words and phrases that they feel really, really happy about, but that's it. They're like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And then they're like, don't ask me for anything else. Okay. Like, this is all I, and I love that about them because they are confident in that one or two or three phrases that they do know. Right. And what I feel, and you'll be able to hear this from Andrea and Ashley a little bit later on in our time together. But what I feel is the confidence portion of speaking is something that may be lacking. And if that's you to where you're like, I know everything, I can hear people and listen to them and understand what they're saying, but I can't speak it. If you said that to yourself or to someone else, let me tell you, it's the confidence that may be lacking. And that's where I come in, is to build that confidence so you can finally speak it. Does that make sense? Put in the comment section right now if that makes sense to you. Like, yes, I lack the confidence to speak it in real time. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's do some mindset shifts. So this can help you understand where you're at and where you're going. First of all, you already know more than you think. Do you know how I know this? Because you've been speaking here and there, different phrases everywhere. What sound like Dr. Seuss right now? Because this right here is really where the rubber meets the road. And we have our amazing brains that God has given us to be input vehicles, right? And you've been able to either get into a language app where they've given you some amazing phrases and grammar, foundational stuff, right? Or verb conjugations. And then you've also been able to surround yourself into an actual academic course, right? So you've been introduced to the language, and maybe it's been years, but you learned something in high school Spanish that you'll never forget, right? There's some type of phrase you learned along the way. And I want to tell you that that phrase has been in your brain because you put it inside of your brain and you said, this is my phrase. So you adopted that and you know more than you think. So that's either maybe greeting someone. You're like, I know how to say buenos dias. I know how to ask someone how they're doing, right? And these are small little phrases that add up in your phrase bank. So think about if you have a bank account, right? But it's full of phrases. You can be able to deposit those phrases inside of your bank account, and then you'll be able to withdraw it when you need it. Does that make sense? And so we're not haphazardly just learning different words in Spanish and thinking they're going to stick somewhere inside of our brains. We're going to really go to that next level and learn phrases. And that's why I'm also a published author. And you see right here, Spanish Phrases Made Easy. This is on TikTok Shop as well as Amazon. You're more than welcome to start your language library with the right tools like this Spanish Phrases Made Easy book, because there's over 100 phrases that are inside of here that you can take your time and actually focus on what you can say to real people. Okay. It's not like saying green apple, like on Rosetta Stone. No, we're saying like un poco más despacio, right? Like these are small little phrases that you can say every single time you speak to somebody, and they finally make that connection that you are learning the language. So you know more than you think. That's something that a lot of people are not going to tell you. They're going to think you know nothing in Spanish and that you need them. That's what a tutor will do in Spain somewhere, right? But I want to tell you that you do know more than you think you do, okay? Because you do have this heart and this passion to connect, and you're driven to finally say yes to Spanish. So let's go ahead and let's review some phrases here. And these phrases are very simple. There are only two words, okay, for each phrase. And I want you to build up your confidence, but at the same time, I want you to speak this language, okay? So the first phrase that we're going to learn today is puedo comunicarme, okay? Puedo comunicarme, which simply means I can communicate. Let's practice together. I'll say it and then you repeat it. Puedo comunicarme.
Puedo
Bueno,
comunicarme.
okay.
Perfecto, muy bien. That's it. Puedo comunicarme. I can communicate. Okay. Puedo comunicarme en español cuando quiero practicar mi español con la gente. Right. So you see how like I can speak, right? Like I have the ability to speak and communicate, right? And you can always add upon it. But just being able to know that you have the ability to build upon like Lego bricks to add the phrases and add more words to those phrases. So this is a great prompting phrase that you can say. Like I'm able to communicate. I am able to communicate. I can communicate, right? The second one is sigo aprendiendo. I am continuing to learn. Okay. I am continuing to learn, is what this really means. Sigo aprendiendo. That's always such a tricky word that I have some of my, like a tongue twister that some of my students struggle with. So we're going to just say it really slowly. Okay. Sigo aprendiendo. Say it with me.
Sigo aprendiendo.
Eso es, muy bien. Very good. Awesome. Okay, so, puedo comunicarme, sigo aprendiendo. What are you continuing to learn? So, what are you going to add to siendo? Do you want to try that, Andrea? Ashley? Who wants to try that? Sigo aprendiendo. What would you add to that? I'm continuing to learn what? What would
Sigo
you
a
I'm continuing to learn Spanish. And think of it as a journey. Think of it as a time to where you're speaking in a way that is slow enough for you to understand, for the person you're speaking to understand, and that this will really help you in your conversation journey. Okay? All right. So, before we get off this live here, before you end off this podcast, whatever you're listening to, whatever you're watching on YouTube, these are the next steps. And I want to do something a little bit different today. Is I want to highlight two beautiful ladies that are on the East Coast, and I'm over here in California. But I have the privilege of being have familia on the East Coast that have entrusted me with their fluency Spanish journey. And I've adopted Andrea as my mama. Yeah. And when I tell you, it's so funny because my mom, she like passed away over 11 years ago. But every time I see my mom would be literally right here with Andrea speaking Spanish. Like she would, you know what I'm saying? All the things. And they would probably be besties because they even favor each other in the way that they look with that chocolate, beautiful skin, all the things. And so Andrea has been with us for a couple years now, a year or so, I would say, and
si
she has been doing an amazing job. And I want you to hear her experience of being a part of our community. So I want you to join. The next steps, as you can see on the screen, is joining the Fluency U VIP community. I'm going to give you a backstory about this. Is I was teaching online. I went viral on TikTok. I have close to 700,000 followers on TikTok right now because they want to learn Spanish. And I was going through like my classes and they were learning Spanish, but they didn't have a place to call home. They didn't have a community online that they can tap into whenever they needed a question or they wanted to practice their Spanish. And so, just about maybe, I want to say almost a year ago, God was just impressing in my heart that I needed to just start a community. Like I needed to be there with the peoples and practice the Spanish. And so he gave me Fluency U, and U represents university, but also you, like you become fluent, right? And this is our VIP community where it's people that have actually been a part of my 90-day intensive and got fluent in less than 90 days. These are people that are currently in the program of the 90-day intensive. And then also, these are people that have been a part of our Fluency Fast Track course that want to be a part of something that is bigger than them, and they can ask questions and be able to practice their Spanish as they go through the Fluency Fast Track course. If that's something that you're like, wow, there is a place that I can call home to speak Spanish and not feel judged and to feel safe, then count me in. What do I need to do get next, Profesora Kris? Well, let me tell you, just comment fluent if you're on social media right now, and I will give you all the deeds. If you're listening to this on a podcast, go to the link in my show notes and get connected because this is where the rubber meets the road. And so, without further ado, I want to hear from Andrea. Go ahead and share your story before Speak Spanish Easy and why you wanted to learn Spanish, and how has the Fluency UVIP community really helped you with your fluency goals?
yes. Before I joined Professor Kris, I'll give you a little backstory. My husband was sick in the hospital, and when he was in the hospital, he had a high fever and was talking, but he was speaking in Spanish, his native tongue. And at that time, I didn't understand exactly what he was saying, and it frightened me because I couldn't communicate with him at all. And that really shook me to the core. And I didn't want anybody to tell me what he was saying. I wanted to know what he was saying for myself. So it was some years after, and, I tried to look on the apps and go Duolingo and Pinsar and all the other apps, but I didn't understand how I was doing well, but I wasn't communicating, and that was the key right there. So when I went to TikTok and I saw Profesora Kris and how she had incorporated learning to speak Spanish for adults, I said, yeah, this is how babies and young children learn how to speak their language, just by listening and looking at the adults. So I went to give it a try, and it's been a year that I've been with Professor Chris. And when I started, I said I wanted to communicate with him, but I wanted to speak to him in Spanish every day, casually every day. And so she set up a roadmap for me to ask questions in Spanish with him, communicate with him in the morning. And for instance, for example, and he wakes up, I say, "Cómo se dice hoy, papi?" And he'll answer me and say that. I say, ¿Qué quieres, desayuna? Yo no sé. I said, ¿tú quieres mermelada or café or té? So it was speaking with him in Spanish that made me feel so, so good. And I felt like I was okay. I'm on my way now. So when I got in the community, I said, yes, this is for me. I went all in the 90-day program, the challenges. I was in the community. And no, I'm not 100%. I'm still learning. But because we're able in the community to listen to each other or speak in Spanish and the other person comments on it, we also have Sade, she's our linguist. So she'll come on and correct us if we need correcting in our and how we want to say things. But in the community as well, it's like, I go in there, I look in there, anybody's in there, it's like we encourage one another because it truly in the community it takes a village. So we're rising up together where nobody's leaving anybody behind, nobody's like making somebody feel bad. Just for instance, we had a VIP meeting yesterday and it started off very structured, which what we like, we interact with each other. But all of a sudden, Sade, the linguist, started talking about cooking and what she likes to cook in for breakfast. And all of a sudden, everybody's just like, we all made mistakes, but we started, yeah, yo también, por la mañana necesito café primero, entonces yo ir al trabajo. So it's things like that when you can jump in this language and not think about it, or listen to somebody else. Oh, yeah, ¿en serio? Sí, en serio, me gusta. No me gusta, no me gusta that por la mañana. And then it was in the la cena, in the dinner time. ¿Qué quieres? So we forget all of that anxiety, all of that, like, and you just want to join in and talk, just like women. We're in the marketplace and we're talking that, boss, and like it was fun. It was different. It was freeing. And once you feel like you're something just falls away from you and you habla en español con la gente, la familia, local personas in la tienda, so every place you got you little bit like little baby steps. So that's where we are right now. That's where we're growing. Like I said, I was all in and I am here to stay and I am here to help do my part to help as well. So we're always learning from one another. I love the program. I love my Ia, my princesa, because it shows like a way for everybody. And when we support each other and lift each other up, the cream always rises to the top. So that's where we are right now. So I hope that encourages you. I hope that makes you curious about us. We are for real. This is a commitment. But so it's not faking over here. We're doing it, and we're growing. So be a part of, grow with it. So you never know where you'll be walking through your journey with this language. Just come
That's
on. Come on in. I didn't mean to take up so much time, but
exciting
I
about you, Andrea. We're excited about your progress and everything that you've done to do behind the scenes. Can you share a little bit about the real life experience of being in the Fluency VIP and just something that happened between you and I this past week that I offer a once a month connection, right? Where you could book a call with me and we can discuss your fluency goals of what you plan on doing in the next few months as you
Mhm.
go through your fluency journey individually. So, can you share a little bit about how that experience was with meeting with me this past week?
Yes, we're doing an elevator pitch, and as we are doing it, we're learning to introduce ourselves, talking about our goals, learning the language, talking about our family, just so others can get a picture of us in our world, but in Spanish. And I booked a call with Professor 15 minutes. I had done all of my elevator pitches for the whole 10 weeks. And I was so excited because I wanted to put it in where I can study it every day. Everything is okay. All I have to do is commit it to my heart and to speak. And sometimes I get really, really excited about speaking. I'm not really a speaker, I'm not really a public speaker, but sometimes learning something new, you find yourself. Sometimes you find your level of yourself. So I always knew I wasn't a public speaker, but because I'm learning this new language, then I need to learn it with the passion that it deserves. Spanish is very passionate. When my husband speaks, and that's in my elevator pitch, how passion is like dancing, and you don't have to get with the rhythm. You have to get with the rhythm. In order you to dance to the music, you have to understand the rhythm and the clave. Clave means like the timing. So, but when we went over everything and I began to look at that, said, oh, I booked with her and she went over everything with me. I was so happy because in the VIP, I read from 8 to 10 of what I had written. And even when I was reading it, I was just feeling the words, feeling the passion of it. I was so happy that she went. We're still going to do some more meetings to tie it up really better, but for the most part, and each in the VIP, they were listening and they were listening and picked out exactly what I was saying, which you have to listen. The first thing of Lucas is listening. They were able to speak a little bit about me with those 3 paragraphs about what I was saying and how passionate that was. That went back on me. It's like, hey, they're reading or understanding how what this means to me. That elevator pitch program that we're doing or learning the Spanish through the pitch is really enlightening. And we have others that's working on their pitch as well, so I'm excited to see, and hear what they're saying in Spanish. So it's marvelous. I think it's marvelous.
Yes, and just to give a little bit more clarity too about what she's sharing is for each one of our students, especially in my VIP community, is any type of resources that I create, which I created that elevator pitch for a group of Black professional women in Florida. And I said, you know what, this would be great, this resource. I mean, I could have charged them, right? But I said, no, this is absolutely free because I want each and every one of them to experience the same success that the students in Florida had. I want them to have the same success in our community. So I gifted them this elevator pitch workbook that I put together. And when I tell you, it is illuminating of just how, when you feel that confidence to know how to talk about yourself, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, your family, all of that is all conversational pieces, right? And so with Andrea, we're working on how do we go from looking at going from English to Spanish, talking about ourselves, and then going into the pronunciation of it, right? And then after we're perfecting that pronunciation, which is what we're on this summer, her and I, the next 3 months, we're going to be working on pronunciation, making sure she feels really confident in that. And then starting in the fall. So by the end of this year, she's going to be able to implement and internalize everything that's within her elevator pitch and by the end of this year, she'll be able to feel really, really excited that she has learned something that just the average language app will not teach you. Right. And so, muchas gracias, Andrea. Thank you for
De
being
nada.
part of the Fluency U VIP community and doing your part. I think that's what I was sharing last night with you. It's like not everybody does the work, right? Everybody wants to be fluent, but they don't want to take in and actually take in the phrases and practice those phrases to come to reality. So I appreciate you and thank you so much for
De
being.
nada.
All right, awesome. Well, you guys heard it from Andrea. And I didn't pay her to say that, okay? Even though she's my spiritual mama here, okay?
Demi Corazon. Demi
Yes,
Cor
straight up from her heart, and we appreciate that. So now you guys are gonna get a chance to hear from Ashley. And when I tell you, Ashley has been an amazing asset to our community. When she first came in, really like she stood out to me in the community because of her consistency. And that was one of her promises to herself that there's a lot of things that she starts and then she stops, right? But when it came to Speak Spanish Easy and the methods that I taught her and how easy it became for her, she just was like a duck in water. And so Ashley is from Delaware. Go ahead and share your story. What was it like prior to Speak Spanish Easy? And how is it on the other side after being a part of our Fluency U VIP community and your consistency? And how's that helped? Um,
Hola a todos. So I started before Speak Spanish Easy. I took Spanish in high school and I really enjoyed learning the language. So after taking the class in high school, I didn't use Spanish anymore and I was just very disappointed with myself for not sticking with the language after taking it in high school. I did do retail work like over 10 years ago, and I would encounter like native Spanish speakers in the store, and they didn't speak English very well. And it was a little frustrating to me that I couldn't communicate in their language so that I can help them out. And so, la- I think it was back in 2024 to do I decided to relearn Spanish and I tried the Babbel app and I used that app for one day and it was fine, but it I still, didn't have the discipline to continue learning Spanish, and so, it wasn't until the beginning of last year that I made a commitment to myself that I was going to relearn Spanish, and so I was on TikTok and I found Speak Spanish Easy on TikTok and Profesora was offering she provided a community where those who were interested in learning Spanish could join her community. You don't have to have prior experience and I was willing to join her community and was honestly the best decision I've ever made for myself. Just being part of her community, it's very supportive. You get feedback from her and Sade, and you have members in the community just being very supportive. And what I like about Fluency U is that you have homework. It doesn't really take too much of your time. It's just it's a fun homework to really help you um stay motivated in learning Spanish. I've also did like the Speak Spanish Easy Fast Track course, and I really enjoyed that course as well because it gave me an opportunity to practice conversations in Spanish, telling time, counting my numbers beyond 100. Like before, I didn't even know how to count all the way up to 100. So that was like really exciting. And being part of the VIP, I really enjoy the VIP because you have an opportunity to practice your Spanish with other members of the VIP community. There's no judgment. You don't have to be perfect to speak Spanish. We're all here to learn to help each other out. And in fact, you should make mistakes while you're speaking Spanish because that's the only way you learn. And even as Andrea mentioned, when you learn English, you didn't speak with perfect grammar, that took time. So that's one of the things that I finally got over is just speaking Spanish without having to need to speak perfectly. I just speak Spanish and I may not always say it correctly, but I am trying. So I'm actually just feeling more comfortable speaking Spanish without feeling the need to be perfect. So, and also the challenges of like going out and speaking Spanish out in public, like at a grocery store or a restaurant. If it wasn't for Speak Spanish Easy, I would have never gone to a Spanish restaurant and spoke Spanish. Like that would have never happened. So um I'm just very grateful for the challenges that Professora provides us in the community to encourage us to get out of our comfort zone and just speak the language. So I'm just very grateful to be a part of the fluency community.
Awesome. Muchas gracias, Ashley. You guys, hearing Ashley and hearing Andrea, I hope something inside of you says, wow, that sounds like me, right? I'm going to ask you a question, Ashley. When it comes to how you have communicated, you mentioned if it wasn't for Speak Spanish Easy and pushing you out of your comfort zone to finally speak it, maybe order your food in Spanish, like what does that do for your confidence level, right? And speaking it. What does that do for you as a person? Like, is your new identity changing of who you are now that you are a Spanish speaker?
Absolutely. My confidence level has gone through the roof because I can now say that I can have, a conversation with a native speaker in Spanish and they can understand what I'm saying. And so I'm just so proud that I had the confidence to really speak Spanish. So it was definitely a confidence booster.
Awesome. Well, let me give you your flowers now, okay? Tus flores, okay? For Andrea, for Ashley, for sticking with it, for not giving up on yourself, not giving up on your dreams of becoming fluent for your world in Spanish, because lots of people are just like you, right? That are on the non fluency fence where they're like, is this the real thing? Right? It speaks Spanish easy, my last stop to fluency. And we can say loudly and proudly, yes, this is the last stop to fluency. If you've tried language apps, then yes, that is a prerequisite. Okay. Because I'm looking for people that are really like dedicated. That means they're self starters. People that have said, hey, I have a passion to speak this language because I love traveling, right? People that are been raised around Spanish speakers, whether in your family or your friends, and you don't speak Spanish, but everybody else around you does, right? We call those the no sabo kids, right? Where your parents knew Spanish, but you didn't, right? We welcome you. Right. We also want to look for people in the workplace, people that have a heart and passion to be a teacher, a nurse. We have a psychologist I'm meeting with in a few minutes to help her as a school psychologist to be able to communicate with the parents and the students, right? And so if that's something that you've desired to do, then stop waiting, make the decision to get your feet wet, your fluency feet wet, and get into the Fluency UVIP community. Go ahead and comment Fluent if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, comment Fluent. I'll send you the deets so you can get connected. And if you're listening to this on podcast, just go ahead and go to the link in my show notes, and this will be helpful for you to go on your fluency journey as well. Well, I want to just say thank you so much. Muchas gracias for being a part of this fluency movement today. As you can see, we're excited. Okay, over here. We're learning the Espanol together. We're speaking the Espanol together, and we are changing lives. And we want you to be the next testimony to share your fluency journey as well. So go ahead and comment Fluent, get connected in the link in my show notes if you're listening to this podcast, and just make the move. It'll be the best investment that you've ever made for your life. If you are looking at that place and you said, I want to learn Spanish and I want to learn it the right way and become fluent and change my own identity. So muchas gracias for being a part of us in our masterclass today. I hope it empowered you that you can learn just a few phrases, super simple, without verb conjugations, without grammar rules, and for you to start speaking. I'm signing off today. I'm enjoying this Memorial Day weekend with my familia. And so I want you to as well start speaking a little Spanish and speak Spanish easy. Muchas gracias, Andrea and Ashley, for being with me today. Y nos vemos en la próxima clase. Adios for now. Take care.